Okay, tell me, what is it that drew you in the role of Nai Wen in the beginning?
I actually met with the director probably 2 years before we actually start filming. He showed me the story and I was just very drawn to the whole story because I think there's something very beautiful about something that's so broken. It's not just Nai Wen, her character, but also the whole story. It's about being broken. Every single character is broken in some way. And I feel like Taiwan is a little bit more conservative when it comes to talking about something so dark, yet something so beautiful at the same time. So when he first showed me the storyline, and also he told me a little bit of the backstory of Nai Wen, I was just really drawn to her. And I feel like I wish I had the opportunity to kind of be the voice for her, because in the movie, there are not a lot of dialogues, not a lot of words are spoken, but there are a lot of emotions and voices within. So I want to be the voice for her in a way.
So
Yeah.
do you like to play characters that are broken?
It's actually kind of like sick and twisty in a way. I think in a way, no, but in a way, yes. You get a very satisfying feeling from being broken. I think it's, at first I didn't really want to admit that it almost felt good being so dark. It almost felt good being so broken, because being broken is something that we are taught not to be, right? We are taught by our society, by our parents, by everything that we grew up in, to not be so broken, to not be so, deep in the hole. But as an actor or as an actress, I feel like we're very, very privileged to have the opportunity to just let go and let yourself be broken. Let yourself, be deep in the hole. Let yourself roll in the mud and experience all the emotions that we don't have the opportunity to experience in real life. So yes, to answer your question, I think I did enjoy being all dark and twisty for a few months. It was a difficult time for me. I remember going home every day. I didn't even feel like myself. None of my friends knew how to talk to me during that time, because I was this dark and twisty person that they didn't know. But it was very, very satisfying and very, very privileged to kind of go through and live through all those emotions that Christina, like myself, wouldn't have the opportunity to.
So the roles you play have an impact in your personal life also?
I think it does. It actually, because I feel like if you look at this movie as a whole, I believe you spoke to our director earlier already. He always told me from the very beginning, from the very first time we met, he told me this is a love story. And I was like, bullshit, this is not a love story. But then the more I got into it, the more I understand kind of the meaning behind it. Well, at least for me, I do believe it's a love story, but it's not the typical love story that we are looking for. Speaking for Nai Wen, I feel like from her perspective, love did give her a purpose, and it did give her kind of like almost a medicine that she needed to keep going. But it's not that typical, the fantasy, the romance love story that we see. But there are a lot of different type of loves in the movie, between different characters, different type of love, different levels of love that was portrayed through the movies, that I feel like definitely have impacted my life, because I do see love in a different way now. Loving someone doesn't necessarily mean getting what you want in return. It doesn't necessarily mean romance, happily ever after. Love could come as quickly as it goes. Just because something didn't last doesn't mean it wasn't real. So I feel like, yeah, it did have an impact in my life. I actually have a little tiny tattoo on me that's a butterfly that I see Naiwen as is a butterfly. That she went through this metamorphosis stage, and it kind of helped me in a sense. And so yeah, it definitely impacted me.
And do you think that love can be exploitative, as I feel it is in the exploitative?
I'm sorry, what was your question?
Do you think that love can sometimes be exploitative? Let's say, in the film, I feel that the two protagonists exploit each other in a way.
Yeah, they do. They do. I feel like love sometimes could use as, it's an exchange. It's a form of exchange. Love is definitely a form of exchange. It can be exploited, and in that, I feel like in the short, whatever weeks or even months that the whole story was focused on, Naiwen needed that love for survival. She needed that love from Along as her token to survive, as her key to survive. And I feel like Along needed the same from her, to build his confidence, to build his worth, to build his value, his purpose in life. I feel like it's a quite equal exchange of currency. Love was used almost as a currency in a way for me.
But let's say, do you like Naiwen as a person? Let's say, would you be friends with her?
Well, do I want to be friends with her? No, I don't want to be friends with her. She can come off a bit, not as too nice of a person, but I feel like it will take a lot of time to kind of break down her walls. It will take a lot of patience to break down her walls, but deep down, I feel like she's opposite of everything that she's portrayed. She's the opposite of that tough, like power girl. She's complete opposite. She's vulnerable. She's hurt. She's broken. She's everything that you could possibly think of, in a bad way, in a dark hole for a girl. And everything, all the masks that she have are just, armors for her to protect herself, because she feels like this outer, meat suit is the last thing that she has in this world that she can control, because she cannot control anything else.
Okay. Well, the director told me that he went with you in various hostess clubs to let you know how.
Oh yes.
How was that experience?
Especially Along, especially my co-star. I feel like it's a very cultural shock for us, because even though their so-called JJD shop, hostess bar in Taiwan, they're so common, but it's not common for everyday people to visit. So it is quite interesting to kind of see what really goes on inside, especially from the employee side. They do live a very different lifestyle than we do, and I feel like this is also a story that tells their story, because every single one of them has their own story. There's a reason why they're all in this business. So I didn't spend as much time in those hostess bar as much as my co-star did. I spent a lot of time in galleries. Director wanted to build that sense of loneliness and coldness for me, because my job is a gallery manager agent, and I deal with art, and art is just another form of currency, and currency is widely used every day as a form of exchange. And I feel like at the same time, love, like I mentioned earlier, is just it's exactly the same as a form of exchange. I give you what you need, you give me what I need. And I feel like that's just kind of the role. It's like survival 101 in the city.
And in general, how would you describe your cooperation with director Fan?
I think it was very good. I have to say, it was not smooth all the way. We went through our ups and our downs. We definitely went on a journey together. I remember the very first day, he told me that, let's put our trust in each other. I need you to trust me, and I need him to trust me, and I need to trust him. And I feel like that's exactly what we did, because I knew from the very beginning that Naiwan would not be a character that I could just act. I'm not an actress that could act. I need to feel everything that I feel. I need to go through all the emotions that the character goes through, or I won't be able to act it out or perform it. So I actually became Naiwan for the 3 months that we were filming. So he literally went on that roller coaster ride with me. It's a very, very emotional ride. I think there's a word that I really love, that I was reading this book from Oprah, and there's a chapter where she talks about being broken open. And I feel like that's exactly what happened to Naiwan in the story. Being broke open is such a beautiful term, because you need to be broken enough to be cracked open, to be broken open. And that's exactly what happened to her. She was broken open in order to find herself, and able to continue this life journey, to start her own healing journey. Because when you're at the bottom, the only way is up, and she needs to reach that bottom in open for her to be broken open. So I feel like our director broke me open. So it definitely was a roller coaster journey for all of us.
Okay. But would you say that in the end you are satisfied with your performance?
I think I am satisfied. I mean, am I 100% satisfied? I feel like now looking back, that was done almost 3 years ago. For sure, there will be things I would love to change. Every day we experience life a little bit different. We learn things, we go through things. I feel like the Christina now is definitely a little bit different than the Christina 3 years ago. If I were to portray a certain emotions, I might choose a different route in portraying certain emotions. But for the Christina that was 3 years ago, I think I have no regrets. I think I gave it my all to Naiwan and to director Fan.
And how about the sex scenes? Were they difficult for you?
At first, I thought they would be difficult for me. When I first originally saw the script, I saw, there are a lot of nudity, a lot of sex scenes, but then I communicated my fear, I guess, to our director and producer very early on, that I do have this fear, of having so many sex scenes. But we worked very closely together, especially with my co-star, and building that trust, building that security. We built a very, very tight bond between not just me and my co-star, but also with the director, with the cameraman, with the whole crew. So by the time we got to all the sex scenes, I was very, very completely comfortable with the whole filming crew and with my co-star. So no, it was not difficult on set. But leading up to it, during the prepping time, during the pre-production, I had a lot of fear. But they did a really good job hearing me out, hearing my fear, we had really good communication. So it all worked out very well at the end.
My favorite scene of you in the film is the one when close to the end, when she looks at the painting the one she left too long and she starts crying. Can you tell me a bit
Yeah.
about this scene?
Okay, that scene was actually the most difficult scene that we have to film. I remember it took almost 6 hours to film that scene. And I also went through a panic attack, like filming that scene. There were a lot of we tried a lot of different emotions for that last scene, but what the director wanted to show was, that was 6 months after I moved out of the house. So it's kind of like a reset, like a brand new start for me. But coming back, seeing that painting, everything kind of hitting back, like, why is the painting here? What happened to Along? I thought I gave it to Along. Did something happen to him? Did he sold the painting? Was it all for money? Like, was any of it real? What about, my old boyfriend who died? I feel like all these emotions kind of just kick back in, and reality set in again, and old traumas were triggered, old wounds are triggered. So all the healings that Naiwen did in those 6 months were basically zero. And it's kind of like a vicious cycle in life. So it's kind of like a cruel story, right? So everything kind of went back into original spot. It's a bad cycle. It's like a nightmare that I could never wake up from. So I kind of back in square one again. It was very, very difficult because it couldn't just, I have to see it. It kind of have to set into my head. I have to have all those dialogue, all those emotions running in my head. And then I slowly cry. And then I turn into like a breakdown. It was very, very emotional. I remember I felt suffocated, especially we were in a gallery with, I think, close to 100 extras on set, all waiting for me to finish that scene. So it was a lot of pressure. There's no dialogue. There's no one to, do the scene with me. So it's all kind of me against myself in my head. So it was suffocating for me, and for Naiwen's emotions were very suffocating, and I was having trouble bringing those suffocation out. I was having trouble pulling those emotions out. But the director and our cameraman, they were all very, very patient with me. They sat through it with me. I had a few cigarettes on the side because I was so stressed. But it was, yeah, I'm really glad that you actually like that scene, because the way it turned out, I'm quite happy with it. It's not supposed to be like a full cry release. It's supposed to be like a very like suffocating, like she's dying inside, kind of crying out for help, kind of emotions.
But
yeah.
Does she in that moment realize that she actually loved him? Is that that is the feeling I get from that scene, that she wasn't sure before, but at that moment she realizes that she did love him.
She loved him? Okay, that's very interesting. That's actually the first time, not the first time, but not a lot of people thought that I actually loved him at that very end. I mean, I don't want to deny that Naiwen loved Along. I think there are definitely love, and she knew that quite early. Oh, I don't want to say quite early. She kind of knew that by the time she moved out. I think that's the reason why she left the painting for him. There got to be some form of love, but how deep is that love? I'm not sure. The love is definitely not comparable to her boyfriend who died in the hospital. Is it even love? I feel like Naiwen is also questioning that, because what is love? If she really did love him, why didn't she stay with him? Why didn't she, does she really care about how much money he has? Does she really care about their environment? Like, why did she leave? So I feel like love itself, it's so complicated that I can't just narrow it down to, oh, she loves him, because there got to be some form of love exchange in the relationship, in their interaction. But what is love? Like, is that love enough for her? And I feel like she knew before she even left that it is not enough for her. but it did help her pull herself together. It did help her find the strength to kind of keep going in life. It was kind of like the painkiller that she needed in that moment. During that short few weeks of her life, he was the painkiller for her that gave her, that fed her enough strength to kind of keep going in life.
Mm-hmm. In a more general question, how do you pick the roles you want to act? How do you pick which ones?
I'm actually very, very picky in terms of roles. I have to, like I said earlier, I feel like I'm not an actor. I can't really act out something if I don't feel it. So my agent and I, we actually spent a lot of time going through scripts and going through stories before making any decision on taking on a role. She gives me a lot of room, a lot of respect in terms how I want to understand those characters, how I feel for the characters. I have to feel for them, basically. I have to feel like I have a connection with them. I need to know what my voice is for them before I decide to take on a role. That is the promise that I make to myself. That is the promise that, my agent also made to me, that I would always have this freedom and the room to feel my character out before I take on a character.
Mm-hmm. And do you prefer movies or TV better for you?
I think it's very different. Movie, it's like a fast and hard punch. You kind of have to get into the character, get into the story really quickly, but it goes really deep. It goes in deep and quick. Versus TV, we have 4 to 5 months and kind of diving in slowly, but steadily. So I feel like they're very different, very, very different. But a story like, Leave Me Alone, I think works better in movie because it hits you so hard. I don't know how I would feel if I have to be Naiwen for 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would probably end up with a depression, but yeah, I think they're very, very different. I think they're fun either way.
Mm-hmm. Do you find it difficult sometimes getting out of one role and into another?
Yes, for sure. Naiwen was actually the most difficult for me to get out. It took me some time to get in. I thought it was going to be difficult getting in, but it was actually more difficult for me to get out. I remember the day that we finished filming, when the director called it's a wrap. The first thing I did was I went to the corner of the patio that we were at, and then I just started crying nonstop for like half an hour. I didn't know how to deal with the emotions. I didn't know how to cut off that connection. And usually, after filming for like a few months, you're happy because, oh my gosh, I'm done. We're done filming. It's time to celebrate. We usually follow up with a big dinner. But I remember that morning we filmed till like 6 a.m. I went home. I took a shower. I went into bed, and I felt so empty, and I just couldn't stop crying. And I called my agent and I told her that I don't know who I am. And I don't know what I should do without this movie, without Naiwen. I don't know how to get myself back. So the first 2 weeks, I think, was the toughest. Like, I had to literally plan out activities for myself every single day to kind of pull me back into being Christina and pull me back into Christina's life. Force myself to hang out with my friends, even though it was extremely uncomfortable. But I remember I took on surfing lesson like 2 days after we finished filming, just so I could force myself to focus on something else. But it was extremely, extremely difficult. Extremely.
It sounds something like a divorce or something.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like a breakup. It sounds like a breakup. Yeah, like I didn't know how to not see my co-star anymore because I was so connected to him. I saw him for 17, 18 hours every single day for 3 months. I didn't know how to cut off my emotional connection to Naiwan. I didn't know how to cut off my emotional connection to my co-star. I still wrote in my diary for Naiwan the week after we finished filming. Yeah, so it did take a long time for me to get out.
And how is the situation in Taiwanese movie industry for women actresses right now? Would you say there are many opportunities?
I feel like opportunities are getting better and better. Taiwan definitely, compared to the rest of the world, is still somewhat more reserved and conservative in terms of the genres of our films. But in recent years, there are definitely more and more diversity in terms of different movie genres, the different topics that we want to talk about. Before, I felt like it was more focused on, romance, especially, school romance, high school, college, university romance, very, very cute movies. But I feel like in recent years, there are definitely more and more movies or films that are willing to discuss, the heart, the real topics, the hard topics. I feel like we're also having more opportunity in different, just actresses. Like we're allowed to look different now, where we don't all fall under the same categories anymore. And I feel like in the future there will definitely be a broader category in terms of films in Asia. Like something like our movie, like Leave Me Alone. I feel like it, definitely wouldn't see that like 10 years ago. So the fact that we are exploring more and more into different genres, different topics, and the audience is growing to accept different things. So I think that's moving towards a good direction.
And are there any future projects that you can discuss about?
I'm actually going. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about it. I think I'm going abroad in the next month to film a different project that I'm very excited for, because I've kind of been stuck here in Taiwan because of the pandemic. But I'm going overseas to Singapore to.
Okay.
I'm going to Singapore to do a project that I'm very excited for. Yeah, but it should come out 2022, 2023. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Did you enjoy the movie?
I really liked it. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. I feel very honored being here talking to you.
I feel the same, actually. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Okay. That's
yeah.
Good. All right.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you, Olga. Thank you.